Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get started. I'm delighted to welcome you to the fourth annual collaboration between Albany Public Library and the Adirondack Experience and this year's Eclipse Experience Zoom series. I'm Megan Kelly, librarian at Albany Public Library, and I'd like to get to start this evening's program by acknowledging that Albany Public Library is situated on the land of the Mohawk, Haudenosaunee, and the Stockbridge Munsee Band of Mohicans. The Adirondack Experience is situated on the Aboriginal territories of the Mohawk and Abenaki communities. Indigenous people continue to live in our two regions and practice their teachings and life ways. Upstate New York is gearing up for a phenomenal experience, a total eclipse on April 8th. That will be over the skies of mostly Adirondack region as well as over much of the country. In Albany, we'll have 96% totality, but we'll see the effects. We hope these programs inspire you to safely look up on the 8th. Tonight, we are joined by Chef Kevin McCarthy, Nathan, and Caleb, who you can see below. Kevin is a native of Sylvan Beach in Oneida County and a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. He previously worked as the executive chef at the Point Resort on Upper Saranac Lake and was the executive chef at Lake Placid Lodge. He's an associate professor at Paul Smith College, a certified executive chef, and a certified culinary educator through the American Culinary Federation. Nathan is from Fort Edward, New York, and is currently a junior in the Culinary Management Program, and Caleb is a sophomore and studying in the Culinary Management Program. Throughout the evening, please feel free to submit any questions through the Q&A. At the bottom of your screen, we'll take questions as possible during the program and after. Kevin, Nathan, and Caleb can take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Paul Smith College. This is a little different kind of event that they asked us to do when they asked us to come up with some dishes that were specifically tied to the eclipse or some sort of solar effect. So we're going to try and prepare two dishes for you tonight. One is going to be squid ink risotto with a saffron nage, salad of rocket and roasted peppers with calamari croutons. The second one is going to be a fire roasted sweet potato with black bean kind of salad and fried poached eggs, which is a little bit of a different take on it. A lot of the things that we do today are based not so much on specific recipes, but techniques and ratios. If there are specific recipes that you would like after and I can provide them, I'm happy to, but a lot of this is about technique, ratio, and being creative and having a little bit of fun. So with that being said, we're going to start. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make saffron nage, and we're going to make many of the components for the plates now, and then we will bring them together on the plate after. So we're going to move quick. We have an hour. Saffron nage. We have peppers. We have fennel, yellow peppers, sweet peppers, tomatoes, garlic, lemon, celery, and thyme. Saffron we'll add at the end. Saffron's going to give it the yellow color. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a hot pan. Olive oil. We're going to go with our onions and our fennel. And we're going to start to sweat that off. We don't want it to have any color, but we want it to cook till it's opaque and it starts to give out its flavors and its aromas. While that's cooking, we have our sweet potatoes. Again, we're trying to figure out how to tie this up with the solar eclipse. So I was thinking about when I go camping, but we have sweet potatoes. We're going to put them in our little fireplace here. Hopefully I don't set off the fire alarm. Okay, these are the coals from our fire pit outside. We're going to bury that sweet potato. I didn't put any holes in it. I didn't poke any holes in it. I want it to char on the outside so that it's almost burnt. All of the skin is going to be burnt. It's going to roast that sweet potato inside those coals. It's gonna take about 45 minutes. See it starting to cook, wetting down. Start to get some aroma. Now we're gonna add our garlic. Just to make sure our temperatures are correct, I have my laser gun here. I'm gonna see the temperature of the coals. Yep, 27 million degrees, exactly the temperature on the sun right now. So that's exactly what we need. After we get the saffron nage going, we're gonna start to work on our risotto. We have squid ink risotto. We're gonna add our yellow peppers to our saffron nage. And we're also going to add our saffron. Small pinch. If it's not strong enough, I can always add more later, but I can't take it away. We're looking to sweat that saffron off as well so that the natural oils can be released. That's going to help release the flavor and the color. Now we're going to start with our risotto. We're going to start with a little bit of olive oil. Arborio rice. So a lot of times when people hear the term or the word risotto, they think it's the actual rice. Risotto is the style in which that you cook it. Arborio rice is the traditional rice that you use for that. So what you do is you're going to start with some hot oil. You're going to sweat off a little bit of red onion. Saffron nage, we're going to go ahead and add our tomatoes. Fresh thyme. Lemon. Finish sweating that off. See, we have the onion in there. We don't want any color. We're just going to cook it through till it's okay. A bit of garlic. Fresh thyme. And we're going to add our arborio rice. Okay, this is a ratio. So we need 3 parts liquid to 1 part rice. We're going to add liquid in 3 different parts. We're going to get our rice in there. We're going to make sure that we stir our rice so it gets well coated with the oil and it starts to toast a little bit. No color, but this is going to help with the cooking process if it's all nicely coated. Okay, our saffron nage colors come out. Everything's in there. You can see what's happening. It's cooking. Now we're going to go ahead and add our water. use peppers that you purchase at the store. A lot of times we'll use different vegetable scraps that we have, like when we cut peppers and we cut tomatoes, we always have some scraps around. So that's where we'll use that in the saffron nage or a different type of vegetable broth. Okay, our rice is all coated, shiny, it's glistening. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white wine. About 2 ounces of wine there. Where I'm a little different than most people when they make risotto. Some people like to boil it for the full time and let all that starch come out. I find that that really beats up the rice. I want to have nice kernels of rice when I finish. So I'm going to lower this temperature down to about medium, medium high until that rice absorbs all of that wine. Now we're going to work on another part of our dish today. That's going to be our poached eggs. So this is kind of a trick that we do in the restaurant industry, but if we ever have a big buffet or Mother's Day brunch, we have a lot of eggs Benedict, we used to always be able to poach our eggs in advance, because poaching eggs to order for 200 people is nearly impossible, or it's kind of a pain. So we start with 1 gallon of water, 1 ounce of vinegar, and salt. We're going to use sherry vinegar today because it fits the profile of the flavors that we're looking for in our dish. So I'm going to have 1 ounce of sherry vinegar in there. We're going to bring this up to a simmer just under a boil. What we're going to do is for approximately 3 minutes, we're going to poach our eggs. After 3 minutes, we're gently going to lift them out and we're going to put them into cold water. Has a little bit of ice in there, but we don't want too much ice because that can pierce the egg or damage it. So we're getting the egg to right where the albumin is set, but your yolk is still liquid in the center. Got your timer? Okay, Nate, I'm going to let you take care of the eggs. You're going to dump them in your 3 minutes. Okay, while Nate's cooking the eggs, I'm going to keep talking with the risotto over here. You can see right behind you, Nate, you can see it's absorbed all that liquid. Now I'm going to add liquid equal to the amount of rice that's in there. As this cooks, the rice is going to swell, so the liquid will be more each time. Today I have a combination of clam juice and fish stock that I'm adding to our risotto. You can use simply water if you want. And I'm going to put this back on the stove and let it absorb that liquid again. Okay, while Nate's poaching those eggs, I'm not going to put them on the spot, but this is where I told him they were probably going to break. But I trust him. So I'm going to set his station up for him. Now the hardest part of this is breading the eggs. So when I was sick, when I was a kid, my mom always made me poached eggs on toast. And I remember like a poached egg on its own was okay to eat, and toast is okay to eat. But the two mixed together were something really, really special that I always remember that flavor. And there's a guy I used to work with, John Rowe. He's a chef in the BOCES program in Saranac Lake. He made this dish one time where he took a poached egg and he said, well, why can't we bread it with the standard breading procedure, flour, egg, and breadcrumb, and then deep fry it? So everybody has a vision of what a poached egg is, but this is going to be a crispy, deep fried poached egg. And the way I see it is, it's the same thing as my mom would make. It's that poached egg, but the toast is on the outside. So everything's all mixed together, but it still has that perfect flavor. So we have AP flour. We have panko breadcrumbs, 2 bowls. You'll see the technique in a minute. And then we have egg wash. Our egg wash is just 3 eggs, 2 ounces of water. We whisk that up, ready to go. Add a little bit of salt to the risotto, forming all that liquid. That sweet potato starting to char. There's enough moisture in there, it's going to steam and it won't taste like it's burnt. But it's super rich, super creamy. So you can kind of see they keep their shape, all right, it's perfect shape, but that yolk is still very liquidy. And when we deep fry them, we're only going to deep fry them for about 30 seconds. It's going to get quickly toasted. It'll come out. We'll put it on the dish, and that should have the yolk run out and be the sauce for the plate. So Nate's going to go ahead and grab these for me. Those go in the fridge, show them the camera, the birthday. Those we're going to reserve for later. Kind of cool if you're having a party at your house. Last time we did the eggshells and we made the custard in. These can be made a day in advance and they'll sit just fine. Next thing we're going to put together is our black bean salad and our chili lime butter. So again, this is ratios. We have a little bit of salted butter. Okay, it's soft. Maybe we'll work it together. Compound butters are a great thing. Butter tastes good, but you can add a lot of things to it. Then we'll add flavors to whatever protein or possibly vegetable that you're cooking. Today, I specifically want to use maple syrup because it's from our sugar house. From our sugar house from this season. We're going to add some fresh chives. Cayenne pepper, just a little bit. We can always add a touch more. And we'll also add a little bit of paprika. Again, you can add whatever flavors you want. I think sweet potatoes go very well with maple syrup. They go well with butter and chive. And I wanted to make sure we use maple syrup because it talks about Paul Smith's College. And the cayenne pepper makes it hot for the Eclipse. second Eclipse choker reference. Black bean salad. I said salsa, but I changed my mind. I think the salad goes a little bit better. Again, you can use any vegetables that are in season that you want. Now we're kind of in a flux of season, so we're in between spring and the end of winter. So today we're going to use black beans. These are ones that we soaked and cooked. There's nothing wrong with using ones that come from a can. You can use garbanzo beans. You can use cannelli. Any bean that you want, you can make into any salad that you want. Today we're a little bit more southwestern Tex-Mex flavors, so that's why we chose black beans. And black is the color of burnt, which kind of thinks about the eclipse. So that's 3 references to the eclipse. We're going to put some black beans in there. Again, it's all about ratios. There's no specific amount. I have some peeled and seeded tomatoes. A little bit of grilled zucchini. Green onion. This is some roasted grilled charred red pepper, and a little charred jalapeno in there. Charred red onion. A little bit of fresh orange peppers, add a little sweetness and a little crunch. Pinch of cilantro. Olive oil. Salt. Cracked black pepper. Fresh lime juice. Save that egg though. That egg is good. Actually, might need to work. Okay, we're gonna mix that up. We'll taste it after, but we're gonna set it aside so all those flavors kind of come together. Again, you can put anything in this that you want. Beans are just a great vehicle for carrying different flavors. Still 27 million degrees, so we're spot on where we need to be. So the first dish that we have is going to be the squid ink risotto, which we're going to get to the end when we finish it up. That's going to be with the saffron nage, which we have. It's going to have a salad of rocket. When I worked in London, when they referred to arugula, they always called it rocket. So that's where we got the name rocket, and that kind of fit into our theme for today. We're going to dress that with olive oil and lemon juice, and then we have some crispy calamari croutons. Whole idea for that, my favorite entree to eat for dinner, anytime I go out to eat, is a Caesar salad with fried calamari on top. I prefer them as the croutons. I just think that combination is awesome. So that's where my thought process came here is you're going to have the risotto, which is going to be very rich. It's going to have Parmesan cheese and cream. Saffron nage will be a light broth, but the salad of arugula will have an acid vinaigrette, which will help to cut all of the fat, and the calamari fits in with the squid ink. and it adds a little bit of texture and crunch to the dish. So that's the reason why we chose those components. One more addition of liquid to our risotto before we're ready to finish that off. Saffron Nage. You see it's got that dark color. You can't smell it, but I can. It smells pretty awesome, but you can smell the aroma of the saffron. You get the fennel, you get the tomatoes and the sweetness of the peppers. This is about ready to go. So I don't want to waste all these great vegetables that we put in there. I'm going to send this over with Nate. He's going to take a hand blender and he's going to blitz it. Not so much that we're making a puree, but we're making all those vegetables broken down so all their juices are released, and then we're going to press it through a strainer, and then we'll have our nice saffron stock that we're going to finish up for our nage. We have a couple sweet potatoes that we did earlier in the day to make sure that we had enough time. This one's still going to take about another 20, 25 minutes. So for the sake of speed, we have a couple that we did earlier. Campfire, you just kind of eat them with the dirt and the grit. When we serve this in the restaurant, we gotta make sure that we clean them off. We just simply take a paintbrush. We make sure that we brush off any of the excess char or any of the dust from the fire and the coals, so that it's all set. But it's the crust. These are rock solid. You can hear the crunch of them. Okay, so we have our sweet potato here. Okay, our risotto is going to be ready to go to its last stage. It's absorbed all of the stock that we need. Last component that we're going to put in there is a little bit of heavy whipping cream. We're going to let that risotto absorb all of that cream before we add the squid ink, Parmesan cheese, and the lemon. Now we're going to go ahead and assemble the salad, and we're going to start to plate our sweet potato dish. Turn that right on high heat for me. Thank you. And if you'll keep your eye on this risotto so it doesn't dry up, boil over for me. Okay, we've got to go very long.
Chef Kevin,
Yes.
we have somebody who would like to know what's the internal temperature you're looking for the sweet potatoes to know that they're done.
I'm looking to be able to take a paring knife or a fork and be able to pierce them without any resistance. Kind of like when you make a baked potato, same exact idea. So I'll take my paring knife, even though I got to break through that char, you can feel the flesh on the inside. It should easily give way, and that's when you know that they're done. Okay, so our salsa is all finished. We're going to add a little bit of lime juice. And a little more fire roasted peppers. Put that aside for the risotto. Deep ready to. Yeah. So Nate's gonna fry these. You can, you're gonna want to put them on the spider. Yeah. And set them in there, and then I got a great pan mix there for you. Perfect. Thank you. So for our sweet potatoes, a couple ways you can do it, but if you just take a knife and you can cut through that crunch, this is more for presentation purposes in the restaurant. Go all the way around. And I'm going to be able to pull that top off. Kind of see. But that's, you can see that char around the outside, but that beautiful orange sweet potato on the inside. I think it's fun that it has the char, and I want people to embrace that. So when I serve this, serving it in that shell, I'm going to put a spoon in there. Okay, so people eat it right out of there like they would a baked potato. We have our black bean salad. Put on the plate over here. It's also, I mean, it's a great dish for me because It's plant-based. I've been cooking proteins for so long, I'm kind of bored with them. I don't want to cook fish or lamb anymore. I like plant-based food. I like the challenge of figuring out how to take the sweet potato and make it the star as compared to a piece of fish or a piece of meat. Okay, so our eggs are fried. These come out. Have our egg on there. And one or two. The kosher salt on top of the eggs. And we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of this soft maple chili butter. Top of that sweet potato. Kind of melted. Put a touch on top of these eggs, so that will melt with buttered toast. Fresh chives. I guess if we had a restaurant that was based on the Eclipse, that would be one of the dishes that we would serve there. Full roasted sweet potato, black bean salad with crispy poached egg, cayenne, maple, butter. So this one you can see our Nage is the liquid. All right, Nage is more a reference to a flavorful broth. All right, but that's our liquid that we're going to use. Again, it's something light that's going to be with the risotto. Our risotto close to being finished. One way that I teach the students here about how to make a proper risotto is they need to envision when they put the risotto on the plate, they should not go plop and sit there. I tell them they should envision myself wearing a dress, jumping out of an airplane, gently falling out of the sky. That's how they'll always remember, because I've scarred them, making them imagine what that looks like. So to finish the risotto, we're going to take our squid ink. Okay, you can get this from Amazon. We get it from our fish purveyor. A little bit goes a long way. Classical sauce they make with squid ink is called sauce Nero. It's a fish velouté that they'll stir in the squid ink, but this makes sense because it's going with the crispy calamari. The steak's going to start to fry now. Again, this is a lot like the saffron. A little bit goes a long way. So you can add a little bit. You can always add a little bit more, but you can't take it away. So we'll start with about a half a spoonful. Also has a very high salt content. So that's why I haven't added any more salt. But you can kind of see what's happening here. Okay, this is kind of the beginning of our eclipse. Getting darker. That's a beautiful, rich color. Squid ink has a very sweet aroma, has a sweet flavor. It doesn't taste like a fishy fish. Like it's not like a salmon. It's more like a cod or a halibut. Very sweet flavor. Okay, now we have our dark risotto. To that, we are going to finish it. We have some grated Parmesan cheese. And if your risotto gets too tight or it gets too thick, you can always add a touch more stock or a touch more cream just to loosen it up. Word. Yeah. So we're gonna finish it with a little bit of salt. And I always finish risotto with fresh lemon juice. Restaurant I worked at in Virginia, chef name was Rick Small. He taught me how to make risotto, and he said, Kevin, you always have to finish it with lemon juice because it's such a very rich, heavy dish. Finish it with the juice of half a lemon. That's going to help cut that fat, and people will be able to eat their next course without tasting the risotto for the rest of their meal. So we're literally going to put the juice of half a lemon in here. Okay, we're going to mix that up. Okay, now we have our squid ink risotto. We have our arugula salad that we mixed in our roasted peppers. Okay, I purposely dressed this about 5 minutes before. I like when I eat a salad, I always I enjoy it to be dressed in advance and mixed, and to let it sit for a little bit so it starts to break down the salad a little bit, almost like a coleslaw or something along those lines. Not as much as a coleslaw, but those greens really take on the flavor. They start to break down. They're a little bit easier to manipulate. Our calamari, same standard breading procedure, flour, egg, and breadcrumb, but these were double breaded. We cut them into strips so that they're easier to eat, more like croutons. Saffron Nage, we're going to finish with about 2 ounces of butter. That's to about, this is for 10 portions. Okay, but I'm going to mix that in there. It's going to give it a little bit of a sheen, and it's going to help it to thicken a little bit. Okay, it's going to finish stirring that in. We're going to be ready to plate this risotto. Caleb, what's that look like? What's it remind you of?
So
Me jumping out of an airplane wearing a dress, gently falling. You got man, you must be from a different program. So, our risotto, we're going to start. Okay, it falls and it hits the plate. So my vision for this, when they asked me to come up with this Eclipse menu, was this is what I envision is going to happen on Monday. We're going to have the sun, which takes over, or the moon, which takes over the sun, and you're only going to be able to see the outside. I can't just leave it like that, but there's our Eclipse. We're going to hold this here for 4 minutes so we get the maximum time. Oh, wait. Got to protect my eyes so that I don't get burnt from the sun before we finish this up. Dangerous here. All amount of salad are going to go on top. That's going to help cut the richness of the risotto. Calamari croutons. Stacked haphazardly around. They have a little bit of crunch, but they tie in the squid ink. So that would be an example of something we would serve in the restaurant if we were open for the Eclipse. Could have done this before, but you can see that you have the crispy fried eggs. As you break into that, that yolk runs out. Okay, and that's your sauce on your black bean salad. You have your sweet potato. You can see that butter's melted in there. You gotta dig that out. Very good. Can I answer any questions?
We've had a few people just say hi and thanks, and everything looks delicious. Does anybody have any questions? Please feel free to put them in the Q&A. We did have somebody ask about the recipes. If you've got, again, some guidance on how to follow some of the ingredients that you shared, you know, some of the proportions and where to get them, that'd be helpful.
Sure.
Anybody have any questions for Chef Kevin or Caleb and Nathan? Oh, we've got some of your students on here. We've got Marissa, who was in the class of '98. We have Angela as well. So
Awesome.
would you? Oh, somebody's asking if you would use black arborio rice.
I've never seen black arborio rice. Normally arborio rice comes, it's white and it's the like more of a football shaped rice. I mean, you can use any rice that you want and cook it in the style of risotto for sure. Lots of times people will use Israeli couscous or pearl pasta, and they'll cook that in the same manner as risotto. You can do macaroni the same way as risotto, and it comes out pretty interesting.
Let's see. We've had somebody is wondering if you can talk about how to cook the calamari.
So calamari, you have to cook them quick. You know, you can't cook them with no longer than 2 minutes. So anytime that you use them, okay, so my understanding is they always come frozen. Sometimes you can get them fresh, but it's better if you do freeze them because that helps to break down some of the muscle tissue and it helps to keep them tender. When they cook, however you cook them. So today we had raw calamari and we breaded them. We deep fried them for only 2 minutes. That's it. We take them out. They're nice and tender. If you're finishing a sauce or if you have a chopino or a soup that you're going to put them in, you always add them at the last minute so that they cook only for 2 or 3 minutes and then you serve them and then they're nice and tender. So cooking calamari is no longer than 2 minutes, as fast as you can. That's the way to do it. Or you can cook them for a long, long period of time and then they'll be tender, but that's about an hour.
Great, thank you. Somebody's asking if you're going to eat the dishes or are they for somebody else?
I don't have any money, but I have 2 workers here. The way that they get paid is with food.
And somebody that you might know, Nate McCarthy, is asking how long you let the rocket salad sit in the dressing. You mentioned a few minutes, maybe a little bit more information on that.
Exactly 4 minutes. He has the same name as I do. I don't know who he is.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and come on screen and say hello. This is Cheryl Bronstein. I am the Director of Interpretation at the Adirondack Experience, and I wanted to thank everybody for coming. If everybody has any questions, we can throw a couple more questions to Chef Kevin and Nathan and Caleb, but we'd like to just thank you all for joining us for this fabulous Eclipse Experience series and capping it all off with our friends at Paul Smith College and the Culinary Management Program. We hope to see you at the museum this summer or at Albany Public Library throughout the year. Be safe, enjoy the eclipse, think sun, and thank you all. Thanks, Chef Kevin and Nathan and Caleb. Oh, we do have one more question. How do you char the vegetables?
How do you what?
How do you char the vegetables?
You put it, so you can do it the same way. You can bury them in the coals, and then you take them out and you dust it off. You can do, they don't have to have a hard skin like sweet potatoes. You can do zucchini, squash, you can do eggplant. We do a lot with beets, but it's just all about burying them in the coals, and it creates such a hard crust on the outside, and then all the moisture inside steams it. Cut them open, got to kind of work a little bit around that char, but that's how you cook them.
Great.
And it's pretty awesome. You can do carrots, like leave carrots with the skin on. It's endless what you can do. It's actually become a very popular form of cooking now, is like open fire cooking or coal roasting, things buried in the coals.
That sounds great. We have a special request from your son. He would like the laser gun.
27 million degrees, exact temperature of the sun. We Googled it before we started.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm hungry now, and I hope all of you are as well. And we'll go ahead and let you get home and give your son a laser gun that can measure the temperature of the sun. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.